people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. Giovani Santi Leon versus Baraou set for September 11th via Pro Box. Giovani Santi Leon, that not that long ago used to be promoted by Top Rank, seems to have migrated over to Pro Box that has started up their subscription-based programming. Giovani will return to his hometown of San Diego, California to take on former WBA junior middleweight champion Baraou of Berlin, Germany, in a Crossroads 10-round main event on Pro Box TV. The event will also feature the return of former IBF featherweight champion Luis Alberto Lopez. Doesn't sound like a bad card, all things considered. It's got the feel of what you used to get from Top Rank on ESPN. Santi Leon, 35-1 with 18 knockouts, the WBO's number 8 ranked welterweight and IBF number 12 ranked junior middleweight contender Baraou, 17-2 with 9 knockouts. The WBA's number 4, WBO number 6, and WBA number 12 ranked junior middleweight contender will headline a live broadcast from Front Wave Arena in Oceanside, California. It's by the ocean. Southpaw Santi Leon will be looking for the 4th victory of his comeback since losing by knockout to Brian Norman Jr. for what was the interim WBO welterweight title in May of 2024. Giovani has had 4 fights since then and won 4 fights since then, but I think the buck stops here, and at a new weight against an aggressive customer, a durable one like Baraou, I think he's about to lose again. Baraou will be making his first ring appearance since losing his junior middleweight title by split decision in a WBO-WBA unification match against Xander Zayas in late January of this year. He used to be based out of Germany. Now he's based out of the United States, best described as a mid-range to inside pressure fighter, a particularly persistent one, a durable one, who I think is going to mow down Giovani Santi Leon in similar fashion to what Brian Norman did at welterweight. That's what Baraou is about to do at junior middle. He's about to punch Giovani right in the seat. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, you have to interpret every move a contender makes as a move towards Jaron Ennis, since he's the only unified champion at this weight, and very soon, he could be in possession of not just 2 alphabet titles, but 3, if he ends up fighting Josh Kelly at the end of this year, and I think he's going to. That's 3 alphabet titles that come with 3 separate sets of mandatories. Bakram Murtazaliev via the IBF, perhaps Baraou via the WBA or the WBO. Could happen that way. The only other champion at this weight, Sebastian Fundora, that big bitch, claims he wants to unify titles with Jaron Ennis in the coming calendar year, and we'll see if he does, because if he doesn't, Jaron Ennis has got options. Other options. What speaks to what I talked about in my previous video, how I sort of tipped my hat off to Jaron Ennis to potentially become the face of boxing, or one of them, because he's got a healthy supply of opponents at junior middleweight to go around. It's not just the guys with the belts like Josh and Sebastian, there are also the in-between guys like Bakram Murtazaliev, who I think he stands a good chance of beating Baraou. Him too. In the time that it's taking Jaron Ennis to unify titles in this division, and it's all happening very fast, Baraou is getting in position to challenge him for one of those alphabet titles, because when you're the guy that has most of the belts, every contender is taking a step in your direction, practically. Sometime next year, Jaron Ennis may be so confronted with Baraou, who I think he stands a good chance of beating, because Baraou is best described as a mid-range to inside pressure fighter. He's actually a pretty good one, but Jaron Ennis is a boxer-puncher. You know how that goes. Boxer-punchers often have the drop on pressure fighters because they can alternate when they need to. Box and punch. They're not limited to doing just one. It's the key to beating a pressure guy. You can't just backpedal and take the defensive approach against them the way a pure boxer would. You're gonna get outworked. You have to alternate between offense and defense like a boxer-puncher. So an Baraou fight is a fight that I think Boots can win. And if he turns out to be the guy that stops him for the first time, that's a nice feather in his cap.
Casuals love knockouts, and I think Boots packs a big enough wallop that he could be the first to knock a boss Baraou out. It's made to order for a guy like Boots. Boots looks best against the aggressive guys who want to stand in front of him and trade.
It's the mistake Xander Zayas made, trying to fight fire with fire. Pressure fighters like a boss Baraou, they don't know another way.
Except to apply pressure.
So I think Boots can beat him, and this is another potential opponent for Jaron Ennis in the coming calendar year, because he may or may not get Sebastian Fundora. If he doesn't, he could fight this guy.
In men's cruiserweight news that seems to have the boxing world's undivided attention right now as a result of Zuffa making a grand mess of things, making the fight between Jai and Noel that is now impeding the fight between Noel and David.
The promotional tug-of-war, Jai Opataya and David Benavidez jostle over Noel Mikaelian. Would seem that Jai Opataya has pulled out the proverbial Uno reverse card on David Benavidez, who originally sought to freeze him out. Now they're freezing out David. The future of Noel Mikaelian's reign as WBC Cruiserweight champion became tenuous Tuesday, with Zuffa Boxing announcing he will fight their champion, Jai Opataya of Austria.
Australia.
September 12th in Las Vegas, the Zuffa announcement came minutes after the sole promoters for WBO, WBA Cruiserweight champion David Benavidez and Mikaelian told Boxing Scene they have a signed contract for a December 12th unification between Benavidez and Mikaelian in Glendale, Arizona.
Don't believe everything you read. Promoters that say they have a signed contract for a fight are a dime a dozen. I remember that Samson Lukowicz said that about a David Morrell fight just for David Benavidez to come out and call it fake news.
Yeah. Eventually, David Benavidez fought David Morrell, but not in the time frame that Samson Lukowicz originally specified, delivering his patient laugh. Mikaelian's promoter Don King told Boxing Scene, well, Mikaelian has a signed contract with me. I love Noel, and I hope he does the right thing.
What the right thing is all depends on who you ask and who the right thing is for. Noel is doing what's right for him, which may not be right for Don or David.
Don King said Mikaelian sought a specific financial figure to fight Benavidez, and the promoter delivered. He, Mikaelian, wanted $1 million, and I got him $1 million, King said of Mikaelian, who captured the belt in December by defeating Badu Jack via decision.
Is that $1 million up front? Is that $1 million guaranteed, or is that $1 million with strings attached? If the pay-per-view sells a certain number, if the pay-per-view does well, because that's how they want to sell it.
Samson Lukowicz, the CEO of Samson Boxing, which promotes Phoenix's three-weight world champion Benavidez, said his fighter was to sign the fight agreement for Mikaelian in short order.
Was to sign it? Was to sign it. You mean he hasn't signed it yet? Which also means the fight isn't done.
As for Mikaelian, while King says the fighter is bound to honor the promoter's negotiations, Lukowicz said before the Zuffa announcement that there were persistent industry rumors Mikaelian was returning to negotiate for an Opataya bout after doing so in the spring, when officials told Boxing Scene a deal was. In the final stages, Opataya will fight on the September 12th card headlined by the new WBC welterweight champion Brian Garcia versus England's #1 contender Conor Benn at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. I'm not too worried about that, King said, about the prospect of Mikaelian potentially avoiding Benavidez before the Zuffa fight announcement. We're trying to bring the electricity back to boxing with this unification.
Bullshit. You're trying to put up another paywall and charge people to go past it.
He might be considering something from people with good intentions, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
That's rich coming from Don.
Lukowicz and King both said if Mikaelian moves away from the Benavidez fight, the grounds for a lawsuit exist because of Mikaelian's signed ties to King.
Never mind his ties to King. Did he sign on to fight David? And did David sign on to fight him? Is the fight finalized? Because if it's not, then he's not in breach of anything.
That's really the most important thing. Is the fight finalized or not? Because if it's not, you can't force Noel to take a fight that pays him less over a fight that pays him more. The 35-year-old Armenian said in a prepared statement from Zuffa, "When I step into the ring on September 12th against Jai Opataya in Vegas, I intend to defend my WBC World Championship."
We'll see if the WBC lets him.
This is the fight I've wanted since becoming a two-time world champion, and I'm ready to deliver. I haven't fought since December of 2025 because of Circumstances outside of my control. I refuse to stay inactive. Champions are meant to fight, to defend their titles, and that's exactly what I'm prepared to do.
His manager, Anthony Gurgis, said in a prepared statement, "My job has always been to put Noel in the best position to succeed. More than 60 days after Noel versus Benavidez was ordered, we still haven't received a bona fide offer."
Bona fide case of he said, she said, where Don says they have a signed contract. Gurgis said they don't even have an offer.
Gurgis continued, "Noel wasn't going to sit on the sidelines any longer. This isn't just about two champions in Noel and Opataya. It's about protecting the integrity of the sport and making the fights the fans deserve. Benavidez also stands as the WBC light heavyweight champion, and that position afforded him the opportunity to petition for a WBC Cruiserweight title shot, which WBC President Mauricio Suleiman granted in May. If Mikaelian opts to fight Opataya, the expectation is he will be stripped of the WBC title, and Benavidez would have the chance to fight the next fighter in line, Poland's own Mikaelian, for a third Cruiserweight title.
Go ahead. Fight him. Charge people $80 to see it and see who cares. They already didn't know much about Noel Mikaelian. They know even less about Mikael Cieslak.
You think people in America are gonna pay $80 to see you fight that guy?
Reactions are pouring in to this shocking news, and some can't really read through the tea leaves. A guy who goes by James Bernard said Mikaelian, without the belt, is a useless fight for Opataya.
But what if it's not their intention to get that belt to Jai Opataya so much as get him that opponent and rob David Benavidez of his? What if the intention is to corner David Benavidez, to force him to fight Jai Opataya?
Guy who goes by the name David Parker said, so David won't fight Mikaelian now? This is messing things up. I was looking forward to this fight.
That's what I'm talking about.
If true, that leaves David with no fight.
That's what I'm talking about. In my previous video, I talked about how David Benavidez and the World Boxing Council are essentially trying to freeze out Jai Opataya, and now Jai with Zuffa is freezing David out. Though perhaps I should have worded it better, because they both targeted the same fighter with very different intentions. When David went after Noel, it was so that he wouldn't have to fight Jai.
Whereas when Jai goes after that same guy, it's not because Jai doesn't want to fight David. He's limiting David's options so that eventually David has to fight him.
So Jai isn't actually trying to freeze David out so much as corner him and force him to fight by going after the same guys that he goes after.
Since Jai's people have deeper pockets, it's a game that they can afford to play while starving David Benavidez and smoking him out.
What about Don King? What about the supposed signed contract?
You once again have two sides of the same coin telling very different stories. It's not the first time that Noel would have been at odds with Don King, his promoter. Don is saying they have a contract.
Anthony Gurgis is saying they haven't even gotten an offer yet, much less a contract. If Anthony is telling the truth, and Noel hasn't signed off on any of this, then there's nothing Don, the WBC, or Team Benavidez can do to stop him.
For you to take it to court and constitute a breach of contract, there has to be a contract that Noel signed. And if Noel didn't sign nothing, you ain't got nothing to go off of. Nothing but a bluff. So that is the question that lies ahead of us. Has Noel actually signed a contract to fight David? Or are they just trying to scare him into doing what they want, what they say?
He's not a slave. If there's no fight finalized and another offer comes in, he's free to take it. You can't stop him.
It's not like what you see with the big-time promoters that have broadcast partners and broadcast deals where sometimes the fighter is exclusive to a network. Noel's not exclusive to any network because Don don't have a TV deal.
You can barely afford to keep that guy active. He hasn't fought since late last year.
Who gives a shit if you'd prefer that he fights Simpson's guy? The question is, do you have a signed contract with Noel's signature or not? Because if you don't, I don't see any grounds for you to stop him.
Thus, he looks to be en route to a Jai Opataya fight, while David Benavidez looks to be en route to a Mikael Cieslak fight. Meanwhile, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. are urging him to leave Cruiserweight and take a historic Usyk fight.
Are you fucking serious?
But that's not an option anymore either, as Mikaelian will face Jai Opataya on September 12th, as it was announced earlier today. Meanwhile, the heavyweight champion Usyk is zeroing in on a Deontay Wilder fight as his ideal dance partner for his farewell fight, which preferably would take place in the United States. all-time greats, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., are urging Usyk and Benavidez to face each other instead.
It's laughable how much American fighters, even the legends, overestimate their American compatriots' abilities because they're only doing this with David because he's American.
Roy Jones Jr. originally suggested the idea after Benavidez moved up from light heavyweight up to cruiser and beat Zurdo for the WBA and WBO titles in May, 3 weeks before Usyk survived a serious scare against kickboxer Rico Verhoeven. Now he's doubling down on the idea. I already knew what I saw. I knew what would happen, and I knew what would be the best for David Benavidez, Jones told The Ring. Now after Usyk's performance against Verhoeven, everybody is saying Benavidez should have fought Usyk. He should have fought him anyway. Usyk is a tough fight, and it would be historic for David. B-Vol is just as tough, if not tougher, for Benavidez.
Roy Jones Jr. sees for David a similar opportunity to the one he took advantage of when he moved all the way up to heavyweight and fought John the Quiet Man Ruiz, except that John the Quiet Man Ruiz was not to that heavyweight division what Usyk is to this one.
Usyk is the man to beat at heavyweight, and that's not the man that Roy Jones Jr. fought when he moved up to heavyweight. For him to do what he's telling David to do, he would have had to have moved up and fought Lennox Lewis, not John.
Mike Tyson, who bestowed the Mexican Monster nickname on David and accompanied him to the ring for the Ramirez fight, is also encouraging him to challenge the Ukrainian. Benavidez versus Usyk would be beautiful, Tyson told The Ring. Benavidez should move to heavyweight. Usyk is not a big heavyweight, he's a cruiserweight who's fast and smooth. Usyk has fast hands, just like David. I think Benavidez throws more punches and combinations than Usyk. I love Benavidez. I will never go against him. Usyk is a badass, no doubt about it. As for Jones, quote-unquote Captain Hook, he knows all too well about moving up and down the higher weight divisions. Jones was the undisputed king at light heavyweight and a pound-for-pound top player in the sport when he skipped the cruiserweight division altogether to beat John Ruiz for a heavyweight title in 2003. Jones bulked up to 193 for the occasion before moving back down to light heavy to resume his career to what were mixed results. Jones said Benavidez shouldn't have similar issues because he won't have to add and lose as much muscle as he did. If I were Benavidez, I would fight Usyk and come back and campaign and dominate as a cruiser, Jones said. You don't want to take all of that weight back off David is used to carrying the weight. Jones then went on to assess Usyk's performance against Verhoeven and what that means for Benavidez. When you fight someone you're not supposed to, sometimes your mentality isn't the same, Jones said. That was a perfect example between Usyk and Verhoeven. Usyk wasn't expecting that out of Verhoeven. Usyk does not appear as hungry as he once was, and as focused as he once was. As we saw in his last fight, I really think Benavidez gives Usyk an even harder fight than Agit Kabayel.
Yeah, that's another bad boxing take from another American, even if that American is Roy Jones.
Here's reality. You guys watched him pounce on Zurdo Ramirez, and now you've got it in your head that he can beat all the cruisers and all the heavies, when Zurdo used to fight at 168. Or did you forget about that part?
Or the part where these two guys had sparred each other for countless rounds, so David knew exactly who and what he was signing up for, and that's not Usyk.
It's laughable how bad American boxing takes are these days.